Hello, I'm Andrew Bolton and I live in Leicester, England. Just around the corner from Jewel and my home is the Little Blue Church, a chapel of Community of Christ that has been in Leicester since 1893 or thereabouts. The story I'm going to tell you today is about John and Jane Benbow. So the story of John and Jane Benbow takes us to March 1840 in Herefordshire, England. On this map, you can see a map of England and Wales. Herefordshire is a border county of England with the Welsh border. John and Jane Benbow lived at Castle Frome. They were farmers there, and we'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. Dunfield House, the church's reunion centre, is about an hour and a half by car from the Benbow farm along twisty, narrow, slow country roads. It's not so far by the crow flying, but it takes time on these English country roads. It's 1840. Most of the quorum of 12 apostles were arriving in Britain to do missionary work among the poor, in slums, working in cotton mills in Lancashire, pottery manufacture in Staffordshire and the Midlands, and among the rural poor in such places like Herefordshire. Background: the agricultural revolution, which involved enclosing common land, resulted in the poor losing rights to land and impoverished them. The Industrial Revolution was beginning, and this was enriching the mill owners, like in Lancashire, but also impoverishing the poor. So the restoration message of hope, of Zion, had a wonderful response among the poor. Indeed, the growth of the British Isles mission up to 1853 exceeds that of anywhere else in the world at the time. In fact, it's the same kind of growth we sometimes see today in India, in Nepal, in Latin America, and in Africa. Apostle Wilfred Woodruff had already arrived early in January 1840, along with Apostle John Taylor, a native to England. Apostle Woodruff was working in Staffordshire, an area making pottery, and thus called the Potteries. There he met William Benbow, a new convert, and worked from his home in the Potteries. William had a brother, John Benbow, a farmer in Herefordshire, and Wilfred felt led to go to Herefordshire, accompanied by William Benbow, who showed him the way. And they stayed at William's brother's farm. And in this picture, you see a white farmhouse. It wasn't actually this one, it was the building, the white building to the left of what you see in this slide. John and Jane Benbow generously opened their home. Their farm pond, which you can still see today, was used for John and Jane's baptisms on March the 6th, 1840. Apparently, Wilfred Woodruff spent the day before clearing out the baptismal pond. It needs cleaning out today, as you can see from this photo. But hundreds were baptized in this area, some in this pond and elsewhere in the area, upsetting the local Church of England clergy. John and Jane Benbow belonged to an offshoot of Methodism called the United Brethren. This was a group interested in restoring primitive Christianity. The United Brethren were a religious group who also had a great concern for the poor, and John Benbow was a leader, one of the leaders of this group. John and Jane, however, were not poor. They were tenant farmers with over 200 acres of rich, fertile Herefordshire farmland and doing well. And they caught the spirit of Zion. Together, John and Jane initially lent £250 towards the publication of the first church hymnal outside the United States in the British Isles, and the first Book of Mormon, published in Britain, and again the first outside the United States. Here's the hymnal, on the slideshow, published in Manchester. It's basically Emma's hymnal from Kirtland with other hymns added, including a lot by Parley P. Pratt. I think he added 40. He was one of the editors, so he had a say in what went in. The Book of Mormon that was published finally in 1841. In this slide, you see that this one was presented to Queen Victoria. She had been on the throne for 4 years. She was around 22, and it was presented by Brigham Young. This Book of Mormon is still present in Windsor Castle Library, not far from Heathrow Airport, not far from London. It's still there today. So this was a loan of £250 that the Benbows made to the church authorities, to the apostles. But there was a hold-up in publication. And come September 1840, the Benbows were in Liverpool about to emigrate with a party of 200 people, the second one to leave the British Isles for Nauvoo. At this time, the Benbows made the loan a donation for the publication of the Hymnal and the Book of Mormon. Among the immigration party of 200 people were 40 poorer members from Herefordshire that the Benbows knew well from their United Brethren days, and many of them had joined the church. And the Benbows paid the costs of these 40 brethren and their families from Herefordshire at a cost of £100. Then as they were leaving, John gave Apostle Wilfrid Woodruff £15 to help him and his companions to return to their missionary work in London. Apostle Wilfrid Woodruff and others had come to see them off in Liverpool, and the journey was about 200 miles. The faithfulness of the Benbows was a great joy and encouragement to the new mission in the British Isles. And the story continues. In Nauvoo, when Joseph Smith was arrested in 1844, John Benbow was one of those who put up bail money for him. So I hope you're encouraged by John and Jane Benbow's story of commitment, of catching the call of Zion, seeing the vision of Zion, and acting practically in generosity to the support of the church's missionary work and the well-being of other saints among them.